Hey guys, welcome to the channel and another video. Today I'm going to be watching 12 Angry Men by Sidney Lumet. As you guys already know, I'm a big fan of Lumet's work and I have seen a couple of his movies including Network on the channel. Network was a fantastic film that's still relevant today, so please check it out when you have the time. I mean, the social commentary in that movie still applies now. I'll leave a link up there somewhere to the film. About 12 Angry Men, I've obviously heard about this movie, but for some stupid reason, I used to confuse it with another classic drama that I saw, To Kill a Mockingbird, which I have watched, but a long time ago. I mean, I do remember the general premise, but not the details of the film, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I don't know too much about the plot of this movie, except that it's about 12 jurors trying to decide whether a defendant is either guilty or innocent. I know that this movie is considered a classic, and I'm really excited to see a film made by one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. But before we get into it, to help support the channel, I have a Patreon page for full interviews and reactions to this movie and over 180 movies, 2 TV shows, early access and weekly posts for what to watch next. You'll need your own copy to watch along. The link's in the description below. Please consider being a patron. Please subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon for instant notifications. Do check out my other videos, like if you liked this video, dislike it if you didn't. With all that being said, let's get started. 12 Angry Men, Lumet, let's go. Ah, it's a beautiful courthouse. Yeah, I think this is not a set, but actually a real courthouse.
Premeditated murder is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. One man is dead. Another man's life is at stake. If there's a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty.
Dude, is that Henry Fonda in the background? I only know him by face.
However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous.
This case is about a murder. So the question here is reasonable doubt. Oh, this must be the accused person who looks like a kid. 12 Angry Men. Dude, it is Henry Fonda. Holy crap. This will be my first Henry Fonda film. And Ed Begley. I've definitely heard of Ed Begley Jr., but that must be his father. So this is the deliberation room where the jury will discuss and decide the fate of that young man.
This is going to be the hottest day of the year. Everybody's here. Now, if there's anything you want, I'll be right outside the door.
If you ask me, I'd slap those tough kids down before they start any trouble.
Ah.
Saves a lot of time and money.
This juror already made up his mind.
What did you think of the case?
Okay, man, let's take our seats, huh?
Yeah, we can all get out of here pretty quick, huh? I don't know about the rest of you, but I happen to have tickets to that ball game tonight.
Fellas, say we'd like to get started.
Kid killed his father. Thing just like that.
Oh, listen, you analyze the...
The accusation is the kid killed his father?
Oh, forgive me, gentlemen. I didn't mean to keep you waiting.
Does this film take place entirely in this room? Because that'd be very unique.
Let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all get out of here, huh?
Uh-huh. Just remember that this has to be 12-0 either way. That's the law.
Oh, okay.
Okay, are we ready?
So 12 guilty or 12 not guilty votes?
8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's 11 guilty.
Henry Fonda's character voted not guilty. 11 out of 12.
11 guilty, 1 not guilty.
So, what are we doing now?
I guess we talk.
You really think he's innocent?
He doesn't have to be quote-unquote innocent.
I don't know.
There has to be reasonable doubt.
He's 18 years old.
Well, that's old enough. He stabbed his own father 4 inches into the chest.
11 men in here think he's guilty. No one had to think about it twice except you.
He's antagonizing himself.
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
But I understand his reason. At least they need to talk about it.
We're talking about somebody's life here. We can't decide it in 5 minutes, supposing we're wrong.
A reasonable man.
Let's take an hour. Ball game doesn't start till 8 o'clock.
Ouch. He did say he's a Yankees fan.
I'm willing to sit for an hour.
Great. I heard a pretty good story last night. That's not why we're sitting here. This kid's been kicked around all of his life. You know, born in a slum, he's a A wild, angry kid, that's all he's ever been. And you know why? Because he's been hit on the head by somebody once a day, every day.
We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What do you think that trial cost? He's lucky he got it.
Oh man, that's very reactionist.
Product I work on at the agency.
He's talking about rice tops.
I just think he's guilty.
The old man lived downstairs under the room where the killing took place. And he heard the kid yell out, "I'm going to kill you." I know he's only 18, but he's still got to pay for what he did.
I see your point.
He claimed he was at the movies during the time of the killing, and yet 1 hour later, he couldn't remember the names of the films he saw or who played in them. And no one saw him going in or out of the theater.
You see, I was looking for a motive.
Good point. What is the motive?
This boy's been hit so many times in his life that violence is practically a...
Second nature.
I can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
What a good counterpoint.
Everyone has a breaking point.
This is excellent writing.
Talk here forever. It's still the same thing.
This dude's views are so rigid.
When he was 15, he was at reform school. He stole a car. He was picked up twice for knife fighting.
Oh.
Yeah, they say he's real handy with a knife.
When I was a kid, I used to call my father Sir. When he was 9 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw it. I was so embarrassed, I almost threw up.
Oh, okay. He's that kind of father.
It's no secret children from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
Wow.
I've lived in a slum all my life.
Now listen, Sonny. Come on now, there's nothing personal
Oh,
about
now, there
this.
was something personal. Come on, fella. He didn't mean you. Let's not be so
You
sensitive.
can't judge a person by their upbringing, right?
Everybody sounded so positive. You know, I began to get a peculiar feeling about this trial. I mean, nothing is that positive.
It does appear to be an open and shut case.
There was one alleged eyewitness to this killing.
Just one.
What are you trying to say? Those people sat on the stand under oath.
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
Yes.
Well, no, I don't think so.
You know so.
Now, what happened to the switch knife? He claims that it fell through a hole in his pocket on the way to the movies. Now, are you trying to tell me that this knife really fell through a hole in a boy's pocket? Someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to test its sharpness?
No, I'm just saying it's possible the boy lost his knife and that somebody else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's just possible.
Exactly. At least entertain the thought. I love how the knife is being framed. Oh man.
Where did that come from?
I bought that in a little pawn shop just 2 blocks from the boy's house.
Now, supposing you tell me what it proved.
This is not a unique knife. That's what it proves.
The odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
It's possible.
But not very probable.
I like when the stakes are high, Sidney Lumet is choosing very tight shots of the actors to show their emotions.
Somebody saw the kid stab his father. What more do we need?
I have a proposition to make to all of you. I'm going to call for another vote.
Oh?
There are 11 votes for guilty. I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict to the judge right now.
That's fair.
But if anyone votes not guilty, we stay here and talk it out.
Guilty.
7,
Guilty.
9. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Oh, and another chap flips his wings.
All right. Who was it?
Those two are so pissed off.
You sit here, vote guilty like the rest of us, and some golden voice preacher.
What does he think he is?
It doesn't matter. He's very excitable. Sit down.
Excitable? You bet I'm excitable. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs. What made you change your vote?
He didn't change his vote. I did.
It was the old man.
So he gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives.
I like him.
I'm talking here. You have no right to leave this
Can't
room.
hear you.
I really respect this old man.
A little excited back there. I didn't mean to get nasty.
Oh wow, okay. And I cannot believe we have not left this room. It's been 36 minutes and we are still in a single room. Just the camera switches perspective.
This kid is guilty, pal. It's as plain as the nose on your face. So why don't we stop wasting our time here? You think he's not guilty, huh?
I don't know. It's possible.
He made it clear that he's not sure, but he wants to talk about it.
There were 6 cars on the train. She saw the killing through the last 2 cars. She remembered the most insignificant details, and I don't see how you can argue with that.
They're playing tic-tac-toe. Holy crap.
Who does he think he is?
All right, I'm telling you, don't forget it.
A kid's life is on the line. Life.
Has anyone here ever lived near the L tracks? Since the woman saw the killing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body hit the floor just as the train went by.
Correct.
Therefore, the train had been roaring by the old man's window a full 10 seconds before the body hit the floor.
So how could he have heard that?
Talking about a matter of seconds, nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I think testimony that could put a boy into the electric chair should be that accurate.
I agree.
Why should he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
Oh,
A man like this needs to be quoted, to be listened to.
I love these slow zooms into very intimate shots like this.
He wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he made himself believe he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
I mean, it is a stretch, but it's not impossible.
Junior, you do that once more and I'm going to kill you. Get in there, Rocky, and kill us. Say it every day. That doesn't mean we're really going to kill it.
That's true.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I have been listening very carefully, and it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. Why would he come back home 3 hours later?
To appear innocent?
He would have had to be calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints left on the knife.
Oh, he did remove fingerprints before leaving.
All those voting not guilty, please raise your hands. Still the same. 1, 2, 3, not guilty.
He's turning, isn't he? The look.
Pardon? I vote not guilty.
Oh.
4-8.
Hey, what is this? Love your underprivileged brother week or something?
I mean, this actor is also excellent in making me really despise him. Just because you had a bad relationship with your son doesn't mean you get to project it on somebody else's life.
He ran to the door. Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got on, did he? I mean, he got there.
He said 15 seconds. He was very positive about it.
He was an old man. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything?
Dude just disproved himself. Oh man, what a moment.
All right, here's the apartment where the killing took place. The old man's apartment was directly beneath and exactly the same.
Oh, we're actually getting a picture.
Oh, that's crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
I would like to see
it's
it.
43 feet. I'll pace over that wall and back again.
Come on, speed it up. He walked twice as fast as that.
41 seconds.
Here's what I think happened.
What's the matter with you guys? You all know he's guilty.
Wow, that's a powerful performance.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I would.
I feel sorry for you. What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
He hates his son and he's projecting his anger.
You're a sadist.
I'll kill him.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Oh. He's just disproving all the points himself. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say he's a sadist, but he definitely has an agenda.
Don't you ever sweat?
No, I don't. The vote is now 6-6.
All right down the middle.
Hey, huh?
You're just trying to bait me.
He did an excellent job.
Oh, ouch.
Putting yourself in the boy's place, do you think you could remember details after an upsetting experience such as being slapped in the face by your father?
The boy couldn't remember the names of the movies he saw because he wasn't there that night.
You can talk till your tongue is dragging on the floor. The boy is guilty, period. Know what I mean, my friend?
Now, the boy was 5 feet 7 inches tall. His father was 6'2". That's a difference of 7 inches. It's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's more than half a foot taller than you are.
Interesting.
What's it all? See, you lose too much time switching hands.
Oh,
You'd say the boy was pretty handy with a knife.
right.
You think he could have made the kind of wound that killed his father?
No. I changed my vote to not guilty.
That's not an answer.
You just can't.
What kind of a man are you?
Oh,
If you want to vote not guilty, then do it because you are convinced the man is not guilty, not because you've had enough.
Not guilty.
Why?
I don't think he's guilty.
oh man, I love these camera shots of. I think it's a telephoto lens with a blurred background just to emphasize these actors' performance. Oh wow.
9.
9-3.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. No, sir.
He's so prejudiced.
Look, they're lushing it up and fighting all the time, and if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed, they don't care. You're making a big mistake, you people. This kid is a liar, I know it, I know all about them.
One by one. They're all walking off.
This kid on trial here, his type. Well,
His
don't
type.
you know about them?
These people. What a beautiful shot, by the way. The shot composition, I mean. Nobody's occupying anybody else's space. You can see every single one of them in this one single frame. Great work. And what can I even say about the writing here? Holy crap.
We may be trying to let a guilty man go free. I don't know. Nobody really can.
She said she went to bed about 11 o'clock that night. That she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father.
All right, I'm changing my vote. He's guilty.
Oh.
Someone before mentioned 7 o'clock. I think that's a point at which we might begin to discuss the question of whether we're a hung jury or not.
Why were you rubbing your nose like that?
Well, if it's any of your business, I was rubbing it because it bothers me a little.
He has a point.
The woman who testified that she saw the killing had those same marks on the sides of her nose.
Oh.
How do you know whether she wore glasses? Just because she was rubbing her nose?
Now, she had those marks. I saw them.
These things on the side of her nose, what do you call those on the side?
Do I have them, guys?
Strange, but I didn't think about it before.
Do you wear glasses when you go to bed?
No.
And she herself testified the killing took place just as she looked out. The lights went off a split second later. She couldn't have had time to put them on there.
Wait a second.
That is a good point.
How do you know what she saw? How does he know all that?
The shots are getting tighter and tighter as the movie is dragging on.
Is it possible?
Not guilty.
What is it, 10-2 now?
You think he's guilty?
I'm convinced.
Wow.
Not guilty.
What's the matter with you?
11-1.
All that stuff, the knife, the whole business.
Well, you said we could throw out all the other evidence.
He continuously disproves himself, and it's amazing.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. It's my right.
And that much is true.
I want to hear your arguments.
I gave you my arguments. Every single thing that took place in that courtroom, but I mean everything, says he's guilty. What do you think? I'm an idiot or something?
The old man saw him right there on the stairs. What's the difference how many seconds it
Dude,
was?
his line delivery is amazing too.
I'm telling you, I've got all the facts here.
Rotten kids, you work your life out.
He's projecting his own failed relationship with his son.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. The man came to his senses. It's unanimous now, right? 12 not guilties. Dude. Another beautifully crafted shot from behind the closet. The good man, juror number 8. And one final shot of all their work, all the evidence.
What's your name? Davis.
David.
My name's McCardle.
Does the film end here? The end. The focus of the film is not about the boy himself. Ah, this is Ed Begley. Okay. That was a great film. Okay, I took some time to collect my thoughts. First off, that was definitely an all-time classic. Sidney Lumet did a fantastic job with the direction here, and I can see why this movie is still so loved today. The film was intimate, and I can't believe how well it aged. I mean, everything in the movie is still relevant today. That's the definition of a timeless piece of art. Both Lumet films that I've watched, Network and 12 Angry Men, they've been timeless. This only increases my respect for this great filmmaker and makes me want to see more of his films. The writing was among the best I've seen for a courtroom drama. It was so detailed. The performances were just excellent, and this was a unique film in the sense that almost the entire runtime was spent in one single room. I don't think I can think of any outright criticisms here at all, as I found even the pacing of the movie to be great too. Let's start with the directing by Sidney Lumet and the writing by Reginald Rose. I don't think there is too much to discuss in terms of plot. The movie's actual crime and the trial already happened. We were just here to witness the deliberation of the jury. And the way that was shown was fantastic. Every single one of the 12 jurors had a unique personality and a mini story arc of their own. Their own lives were somehow reflected in their characters and their decisions, if that makes any sense. The father, who was estranged from his son, was the most stubborn in his guilty verdict. But when he says not guilty at the end, as he tears up the picture of his son and just puts his head down, that scene felt well earned, as he kept disproving himself to a point where he couldn't argue anymore with everybody else. The old man seemed to be the most perceptive of the tiniest details. He was the one who suggested that the neighbor downstairs couldn't have run all the way down the hall in 15 seconds, as he had a slump in his walk. He also noticed the lady witness across the street. She had marks on the neck right next to her eyes, suggesting that she wore glasses and was unlikely to have worn them to bed. And she had to see through the L train to positively identify the kid. And remember, eyewitness testimony isn't the most accurate, especially today. I don't know how it was back in 1957, but today eyewitness testimony isn't the highest form of evidence. The salesman juror, who was obsessed about his baseball game, he was an interesting character too. I think he was very indifferent to what was happening in the room and just wanted to get out of there ASAP. I do know a lot of people like this who just, I don't care, just get it over with so I can do my own thing. I want to make a special note of that watchmaker juror who seemed to be an immigrant to the country. I love that actor's performance, his conviction. He was proud to be, I guess, American. And he was one of the most ardent defendants of democracy and the rule of law in the room. I respect that. Finally, Henry Fonda's juror number 8 was the most level-headed person in the entire deliberation room. He was the first and only person to have voted not guilty at the beginning of the film. If he voted guilty at the beginning, it would have been done in 5 minutes. But no, he took his time, not because he was sure of the boy's guilt, but because he wanted to have a rational conversation before condemning an 18-year-old kid to the electric chair. It's somebody's life it was in their hands, so that's heavy. I don't know. This made me think of how many juries out there just wanted to get it over with and get on with their lives. How many innocent people were screwed over by juries or even incompetent defense lawyers? Who knows? Juror number 8's only point was to establish reasonable doubt, which is one of the founding principles of modern law. Only if everybody in the room was sure of the guilt could the boy be sentenced as guilty. Reasonable doubt doesn't mean absolutely innocent. It just means the prosecution, who has the burden of proof, by the way, does not have an open and shut case. Any reasonable doubt is good enough to change the verdict to not guilty. I loved how slowly, one by one, each juror changed their minds with their way of thinking being challenged. How the evidence was broken down and it started getting stacked against them, scene by scene. Apart from that one scene in the beginning, I don't believe we even saw that defendant, the kid, again. Even at the end, when the film was, the end logo was shown on screen, I don't know, it wasn't about that kid, in the sense that it was more about the men in the room and their lively debate of this kid's future, for lack of a better word. I don't know whether I like this film better than Network or not. I need more time to contemplate that, but holy crap, I'm a big fan of Lumet's work now, big fan. Do let me know which movie I should watch next from him. I didn't expect too much from the cinematography of a film set in a single room. Most of the film was just one single room. I think there was one scene in the bathroom, but Lumet made it interesting as the film dragged on. There was a deliberate transition from wide shots to very close-up shots by the end. Most of the jurors were framed with a wide angle showing that there were separate people with separate opinions. As the debate intensified, Lumet chose to use more of a telephoto lens with background blur to emphasize each juror's performance. It was electrifying to see that in action and made me appreciate the subtleties of the camera work under such tight restrictions. They had to get so creative. A special mention also goes out to the slow zooms as some of the characters were making their points. Lumet was very restrictive in how and when he used these zooms, and it worked very well in context of the movie. The lighting of the film also changes throughout the runtime too, from being well lit in the beginning to being darker as the film intensified, the debate intensified, to being well lit again as everybody comes to a consensus. Great. I also had no issues with the slow editing or the minimal music too. The editing seemed to be intentionally slow to make the audience focus on each actor's facial expressions and their points. And I noticed most of the music was either used in the beginning or the end of the film, almost like a bookmark to the movie. Great stuff overall. As I said before, I don't have any outright criticisms from my initial viewing, so overall, 12 Angry Men was easily one of the best courtroom dramas I've seen so far. The strongest point of the film was its excellent writing, followed by Sidney Lumet's great direction. The performances, especially by Henry Fonda, even Ed Begley, they were top tier. And the fact that almost the entire movie took place in a single room really made this film unique from a visual or a cinematic standpoint. The movie was about the importance of due process and, more importantly, reasonable doubt. The way everything unfolded on screen made this movie riveting to watch. Every single juror was an interesting character with his own personality and story arc. Thank you so much for the recommendation, and please let me know which legal drama or Sidney Lumet film I should review next on the channel. Thank you for watching. I have a Patreon page. Consider being a patron. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon for instant notifications. Do check out my other videos. Like if you like this video, dislike it if you didn't. I will see you in the next one. Bye.